I'm in a Discord with a bunch of good Kano players, all talking about it, all sharing a deck list, and I know a few of them had a really good deck list going into these events, and I really thought they were gonna take it down, but
and
listen,
this just goes to show you, no, you're not.
Like, I'm just saying, Kano's gonna win U.S. Nationals if you like it or not.
Gentlemen, welcome back to the reaction phase. You guys know me. My name is Josh. I am here with the co-host with the most. I got Mo Bogsley here. Mo, what's going on?
What is up? What is up? YouTube world and Spotify and Apple Music and everywhere else you can listen to.
Dude, we actually have a couple hundred podcast listeners not from YouTube, so shout out to those listeners. We're doing a good job, or I think we're doing a lot of focus trying to involve, our viewer listeners, but you're here and you're a viewer. If it's your first time, click that like button, click the subscribe button, visit Mo at youtube.com/Mo Bogsley. And remember, this podcast is brought to you by MinMaxGames.com, the best game store in the world. You can go to MinMaxGamesFab.com and use promo code HTTCG to get 5% off your singles order of $50 or more. And that's never been more relevant now that all these random decks are out there. People are going to need singles. That's the best place to get it.
I like that. There's so many singles that I thought I had that I just don't. And I'm like, wow, I really need that random Reinhardt card that I don't think is even good, but I need it, I guess. Like,
dude, same. I am trying to transition to only playing in foils because as a Flesh and Blood content creator that does like box openings, I have my office in the last year and a half now has just become dominated with cardboard. So I'm selling all my non-foils and I'm only playing with foils because that's the only way I can keep the count of cards low. Otherwise it gets, oh my gosh, it's insane.
The YouTube money just hits so hard. You hear this guy? Only foils. He's just that rich. Like, whew.
God, yeah, that's it. No, and shout out to non-sponsor of this pod, but hopefully sponsor soon. I got into a Twitter back and forth with a True Classic Tees, the only t-shirt I will ever buy, again, because it fits my gigantic frame. For those who don't know me, I'm freakishly tall and I'm a large human. And we went back and forth on Twitter, so now I have dreams of a sponsorship. So they're not sponsoring us yet, but man, oh man.
It was pretty flirty. I liked it. They were flirting back and forth. It felt like a high school romance.
I thought it was
adorable.
Cute. I thought it was cute.
Cute. I was waiting for the kiss, the big moment, but it never happened.
So before we get any more off the rails, we've got a lot of fab stuff to talk about this weekend. We have a couple nationals events that kicked off, so we're going to start with the breakdown of our two big nationals events in Canada and the UK. There is a bit of a debacle that we have to talk about with the UK Nats, and I have a lot to say about that. I'm going to be obnoxious in that segment. Fair warning. We have a new segment we're unveiling this week called Mo Money, Mo Problems, which will be replacing our market segment, where we will talk about something that's happening in Flesh and Blood, whether it's a buyout, whether it's a new card release. In this case, it is the Marvel Emperor and its print run, and we are going to talk if that is going to be Mo Money in the fab community and the collector and investor side, or if it's going to cause Mo problems. So we're going to break that down today, and then we will end with our closing crazy comments section as always. Mo, I'm sure you've picked a comment because I know I have not.
I have mine. It is good to go. It's right up here on my screen, nice and large, so I can read it.
All right, I gotta try to go first so I can snipe it. Anyway, Mo, we got some nationals breakdown. Let's start in Canada, where the top 8 shaped out to be 2 Icelander, 2 Rhinar, 2 Oldhim, 1 Dash, and 1 Fi, with an Oldhim winner and a known Oldhim winner. Shout out to Tariq Patel. Mo, top 8, man. What are you thinking?
Top 8. So America Light, aka Canada, has a pretty awesome top 8. I must say it's
USA.
America.
Sorry, go ahead.
So 2 Icelanders. Listen, wizard representation. I love that. You know that. I think Icelander is still really good. As the meta becomes more not solved, but more like known, you can target these ice decks more, and the more you target Icelander, the worse she gets. The more you put those blues in your aggro decks, the more you try to target Icelander, the weaker her game plan gets. So I think in American Nationals, I think Icelander will be on the decline. I think Iceland is going to do a lot worse than America because she's doing good overseas and
That's a hot
in
take.
Canada. You think it's a hot take?
I think it's
I
a
think
hot. Well,
Iceland is
ironically, it's an
you can
ice hero,
target.
but I think it's a hot take. So you talked about the meta, like as the meta is not solved but narrows, you can target that Icelander deck. I feel like decks like Icelander and Dromai are these toolbox decks. Like think about all the card choices when you lay out Icelander, right? All the card choices you have and cards that specifically do certain things that get cut, that are like, that's not really good against anybody right now. If like, hey, I'm going to play against these 4 heroes, I think that deck is so strong because you can tech it for those 4 heroes. You're super susceptible to the one-off Azalea player, right? Just coming through and slapping you. Well, maybe it is a bad example, but the one-off Levia player coming through and almost getting a win against you, like, you're super susceptible to that. But if you can target these decks, man, I don't know. I think the fewer tools you can have in your toolbox, the better you can be at using them.
Yeah, but the problem is when you look at these Viserai decks that are starting to play 26, 27, 30 blues in their deck just to target these Icelanders, these old hymns, those Frostbites, those channels don't do much, and you can still push more damage than these Icelanders can. The downside is you're worse versus the Briars, you're worse versus the Fis because you're teching against these control decks.
Sure.
So I think it's going to be interesting to see where these decks settle for America and kind of see how many blues people are willing to run. The blue count gets higher and higher every event, but it's never quite enough.
Right?
So 2 Icelanders.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was like, 2 Icelanders. It makes me happy because I'm a Wizard player at heart, and I just love to see Wizard do well. So
even though Icelander, it feels like what Kano should have been, right? Like being able to play on your opponent's
life, 38 life.
Yeah. Not. I'm not saying like Kano should have been able to play on your turn every turn, but like you go into this Kano game and you expect to be like, oh, I'm going to play off the top of my deck all the time. And then you get crushed and you have to like learn how to play Kano. Icelander's like, I want to play on my opponent's turn. I want to do like incremental value things and try to slow you down and use my wizardy tech. And Icelander does that really well, somewhat oppressively into some matchups, sure.
Yeah, so she does really well at that. I agree with that.
No, I wish Kano could play that way. But moving on, we have another 2 of is Oldhim, and you and I count Icelander in the control winter. Like when we said the control winter, Icelander counts. So right off the bat, there are half of the top 8 is part of the control winter that you and I predicted. So we're getting flamed a lot in the comment section of these podcasts about this control winter take. I just want to mention half of Canada. I know it's cold up there, but half of Canada control players.
Yeah, I mean, control is really good right now. Oldhim is a very, very strong deck. The problem with Oldhim is the time limit is still the time limit. You still have to be able to push that damage. So these Oldhims are going to the aggro Oldhims. They're running 9 pummels. They're going full aggro, like full erase face, full command and conquers. They want to hit you, and they want to hit you hard. They look at us and like, control winter? No, this is aggro guardian season. They're out there just swinging their axes.
But even aggro guardian can do what guardians do. It was like Starvo, right? Starvo was this ridiculous bonkers 11 dominate, discard 2 cards, like WTF do I do with this? However, in a pinch at the closeout of those games, Starvo could still guardian. Like, he still, like, flipped this switch. Oldhim can do the same thing, right? Oldhim can just include 3 Brothers in Arms, 3 Oasis Respites, a bunch of Earth cards, a bunch of Ice cards, and just, like, flip the switch. Can try to cycle 1, take you out of tempo, make you inefficient, and then cycle 2, block out, or vice versa. Can block out, pitch to the bottom, and then try to play for cycle 2. So there's so many things these decks can do. They're so versatile, and the consistency. Oh, bro. And have you seen a more consistent deck?
Oldhim, oh my god, it's tough because all these decks are playing such like silver bullets that they want to play against you. Like Icelander has her Frost Hexes. Jomai has certain dragons she wants. If you make them block, if you pummel them and they can't play those cards, if they get discarded, you can second cycle them so much easier because guess what? There goes a Frost Hex. Now there's only 2 in the deck. Playing for a second cycle is so much easier when you're playing that aggressive game plan in the first half and going defense in the second half. You can just switch your game plan, and it is bullying if I say so myself.
Oh, so did I send you the Facebook post, or did I only send that to John? I screenshotted someone's Facebook post. and it's like I'm watching. I think it was UK Nats top 8
You did.
gameplay, and they're like, I just want to say Oldham's like the most boring hero to watch. And dude, that's how you know it's such a good deck, and these players are so top notch on it when the deck does the same thing every time. I casted the Pro Tour, like the local cast, so I watched it and then cast it on Hometown TCG. And dude, Starvo games got hard because the players were so good. The deck did the same thing every single game without fail. Like that's just what it does on repeat, bro. Oh, it's so hard.
I must say, the cool thing about Oldhim is you can switch his playstyle in top 8 and out of top 8. Outside of top 8, they play this more aggressive game plan due to the clock. Once they get in top 8, they can put their feet up and just say, hey, buddy, we're here for 2-3 hours. You can't stop me. Like, we have no time limit. We're going to 4th cycle, 5th cycle. Like, they can play that long, grindy, pitch stacky control game that they just can't do with the time limit. So it's a completely different deck inside the top 8, which is hilarious.
Bro, it just breaks my heart. It's so hard. It's so difficult to, like, as a caster. Shout out to any casters that are going to cast these Oldhim games, especially at the US Nats. If there's any of these control mirrors going on, like Oldhim v Oldhim as a final, you're trying to be hype. You're ready to go. Oldhim v Oldhim and it's so analytical. You really have to embrace that side of the game. So 2 more Oldhims. The control winter is half the field. So listen, we don't want to hear about it. We're not saying it's bad. We're not saying that aggro can't win, but half the field is control here. Now, we do have a dash player. Now, the dash player could be control, could be aggro. We're not quite sure yet because this podcast is being recorded before deck lists are out. But if this is a control deck, all in on control winter and all in on you being right on the control dash take.
Yeah, I think control mid-range dash is where you want to be against these Oldhims. But if Oldhim starts going more aggressive with all these pummels and with all these 2 blocks, because pummel's a 2 block, you got a raise face, that's a 2 block. The more 2 blocks that these decks play, the better that you can just push damage, just boost, 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 shoot, 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 and you just get more value. So it's funny that like as Oldhim goes, I don't want to control anymore. Dash is like, that's fine, we can erase. Like it's such an interesting concept. Like,
yeah, it pivots very, very well. It's very versatile. And Dash is another one of those decks where when the meta is super solved and you have to build Dash one way, she's not as effective. However, when you can play that middle of the road style where you can kind of flip flop and ride that line, you're in a pretty cool spot. So shout out to you for calling the Dash. There is one FaB, so you aggro maniacs that are yelling at us in the comment section of any platform that we're on, there is a FaB here in the Canada Nationals. Only one here, and we're going to talk about the difference in top 8 region as we break down UK. But seeing the FaB here, do you think the FaB like sits down, sees this field, and is happy, or is like, ah, man?
So it's weird because I think FaB is a really good aggro deck into other aggro decks because she can go so wide, force these blocks. You can go Kodachi, any attack, Kodachi, like just like push up your attacks every other cycle to make them have to block, or you threaten your mask trigger more than once a turn.
Right.
Granted, it only draws a card once, but you can threaten it over and over and over again with these go wide strategies. But go wide is also strangely good against Oldhim because they can only block with so many Chronoseeds triggers with their Shieldy boy. I forgot what the name of it was.
Rampart of the Ram's Head.
Yes. So with Rampart and Seeds, that's 2 block. Okay. Now you only have 5 cards left. You have to commit those cards to each attack. So if you go Kodachi for one, something, Phoenix Flame, anything else, that's so many cards. You're almost guaranteed to leak damage. And if they don't arsenal a card, you're leaking more damage in the next turn.
I think that's the play too. I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's like you have this turn where you push and you force the Oldhim off of an arsenal. And then you have an arsenal yourself. You go into 5-card hand against 4-card hand, and there you start the snowball. Now, these FaB decks are, when FaB was released, the first FaB decks we were seeing at these high-level events were very redlined, man. They were, I mean, blues were few and far between. You talked about the higher number of blues. Blues were few and far between. And these decks were like, I can do a 37 damage turn. Now you're looking at FaB decks that are sitting there going, I can do a 29 damage turn. I can do a 28 damage turn, but I'm far more consistent. And it brings us back to that concept of consistency. Do you think that there's a deck that we should be seeing that we're not, based on that, based on the fact that consistency is key right now?
The most consistent deck, in my opinion, I mean, I think we see. I think Oldhim is very consistent. I think
Sure.
Aggro Dash is very consistent because all our cards have Go again.
Sure.
Most of the decks we are seeing are the most consistent. Trying to think off the top of my head what another consistent. Oh,
Except our final include in the top 8, Rhinar ×2. In the top 8, we've talked about all these consistent decks and all these toolbox decks. And now you have Rhinar that plays well into these decks that want to keep cards in their hand, that want to wait for you to act. The Intimidate mechanic shining bright in this meta. This is the least consistent deck, in my opinion, in this field, but probably the most exciting. This is an example of attacking the meta.
100%. I think Reinhardt is always a hero that like kind of spoke to me. I love these brute cards. I just never thought they were good enough. So seeing these players bring these brutes, just saying, I'm going to smash you with big trees. I'm going to go like the fact what I said earlier with Oldhim being aggressive. If you can get their key cards out of their hand by forcing them to block with it, Reinhardt does this so well. Intimidate. You have 2 cards left. If you're threatening 14 or 6, if you block with 2 cards, because of the card that gets
Barrage and
buffed,
Beatdown.
Yes, Barrage and Beatdown. Barrage and Beatdown intimidates, and then if you intimidate one more time, guess what? They're either blocking with 2 cards or they're taking a ton of damage. If those 2 cards are your 2 blues, if they're your 2 important pieces of that hand, you just lost tempo. You're leaking damage. Reinhardt is doing everything it wants to do in that matchup, in every matchup, besides the aggro decks.
Right, and it puts these cards that want to kind of react to them with, they want to react to you with full information. Think things like Oasis Respite, things like Brothers in Arms, right? Especially from the Oldhim side. From the Icelander side, if we're looking to fuse something, we're looking to fuse something out of Arsenal, or if we're looking to have a blue to play something and pay for a Waning Moon, right? To create a Frostbite. We want to see as much as we can before we make that move. And Reinhardt says, well, I'm going to put you to task, because if you have one important tool in that hand, and I trigger my Intimidate mechanic, I could peel that tool away. So now you have to make a decision. And someone made this point, and I wish I could give this credit where it's due. Someone had the quote, and I heard it on some other content creator. You want to be the one in Flesh and Blood asking the question, right?
That was me.
That was you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
you don't
like 2 podcasts ago. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was a great point by you. You don't want to be the one answering the question. And these Reinhardt players are taking these decks that have built themselves that say, hey, we're only going to ask the question. We're going to be like, is there anything else? Is there anything else before we act? Reinhardt said, well, no, you don't get to have all the information. Am I bluffing you? Am I not bluffing you? Am I going to triple intimidate you? Is this 1 intimidate? You don't know, but you have to act now. So this deck is super cool. I'm really interested in this deck. I think if the field goes away from these decks that definitely want to, they're more reactive, they're these slower decks, then you'll see a fall off on Reinhardt. But to wrap up top 8, again, shout out to Tariq Patel for winning. He's the 2-time champ now. He won here in the USA and in Canada. People are saying he gets a continent bonus if he goes and wins in Mexico. That would be, he gets the North American continent bonus. He gets a content bonus too. Why not? Let's give, why not?
Winning Canada is like half a nationals, right? Like America's like a full one. Canada's like, you get half a point. So he's like 1.5 wins, I would say,
Oh my gosh. Okay, moving on to the UK Nationals. We got a breakdown from UK Nats. The top 8 is 3 FaB, 3 Oldhim, 1 Dromai, and 1 Viserai, with a FaB coming out on top. First things first, regional metas, dude. Regional metas are a thing in this game. They always have been, but we never talk about it. This matters.
Yeah, it 100%. I expect, for example, America to be super aggro heavy because Americans have shown they like their aggro decks. They want to bring aggro. They want to play aggro. You don't disagree?
No, dude. We like to hit things.
Okay, got it. I was like, am I confused? Because like, if you look at American metas, like overall, I'd say we have some of the most aggressive players. And the meme always was, go play in America. They don't know how to block because Americans just want to throw their cards and push damage, and they never block. And it's true. Like watching these other metas, like, oh yeah, they block. They actually know what they're doing. Americans like Briar, attack, and it's great. It is.
First of all, you just said these other metas, the players know what they're doing. I would like to point out that the players in America absolutely know what they're doing. I am sponsoring several members from a team going, so they better know what they're doing.
I'm sorry.
No.
I mean, if you're sponsoring, I'm sorry. That's a bad decision.
God, I wish I could undo that. Trust me, now that you said that, you may or may not be one of them. So now I just want to take it back.
For the record, I'm not going to block at all during nationals. I am just going to throw my cards and look at them and be like, are you dead yet? Are you dead yet? No? You want to die now?
35 life or 30 life Kano and not block. Okay.
I'm playing Kano at nationals. Just
Jeez, what are you doing? All right. Anyway, so we do have the 3 FaB here, so it's interesting to see those. And if I'm the FaB in this field, I'm far happier when I look at this top 8 breakdown than if I were the 1 FaB sitting in Canada. Right?
100%.
I'm so much happier. You prey on Dromai so hard.
And I would assume Viserai is a pretty good matchup too, because you force these on hits over and over again.
You do force on hits over and over again. The untalked about thing about Runeblade is on key turns, they sit behind so much armor. Like, they can pull off an important block. So if they're able to keep the game close and save that for late, the advantage they can have over FaB is not only the split damage, right? But it's the ability to keep more cards by forcing this weird, inconvenient, high armor value block, right? Warrior does it well as well. If Warrior's able to keep that game close, get into the late game, and then just all armor block and turn the tide with a 4 or 5 card hand, it gets crazy. So FaB here, definitely happy. Dromai, shout out Dromai, probably my favorite hero to play, since I'm not allowed to play Briar the way I like to play Briar. Dromai comes off very much as like a thinking hero. There's so many things you can do at so many different times. I enjoy that hero, so shout out to the Dromai. And then if the Dromai, okay, let's placate ourselves really quick. Are you ready? The Dromai was playing control, and there's 3 Oldems. So that means half this is control as well. Let's go.
You know what's funny? The Viserai could actually be control. There's this control Viserai list going on that just wants to build up rune chance and slow the game down. So it could be 5 control decks. Just saying.
Like,
just saying.
What is it? It's Bloodsheath is banned, right? Skeleton?
Yeah, you still have ways to just like block efficiently and make rune chance.
Let's just unban Skeleton. Like,
no, please no.
Bring back OTK Viserai. Just bring back OTK
I love that deck, but God, playing that deck was so miserable when you just draw the bad hands or your Sonata for 20 just whiffs. Like, there's so many feels bads in that deck.
But like, listen, that's part of it. That's part of it. You're playing combo, and sometimes the combo, you can't pull it off. Sometimes you can pull the combo off. Like, I felt like it was a cool combo deck. It was
very cool.
No other deck played like it. Hashtag unban Skeleton. So we're gonna say that there's 4 aggro decks in here. I'm taking credit for, like, we're just gonna say that, and we'll see if we're right.
That's fair. I'm okay with that. 100%.
Good, because you're on my team, so you better be. And 1 Viserai, the thing that Viserai has here that I like Viserai as a pick, and I talked about Viserai as a pick going into kind of this season after the bannings of Prism and everything, it's Viserai does offer as an aggro deck that split damage that is inconvenient for your Guardian players to try to block, right? You offer this different play style where you take a deck that, you know, generally blocks extremely efficiently, and you try to chip away at that concept. Do you think we're going to see more Viserai? I'm surprised to only see 1 in the 2 top 8s.
So I think Viserai is in a unique spot right now because I think it does struggle more against aggro decks than the other aggro decks do. Like, it's just a worse aggro deck, but it's this good mid-rangey deck that it can play really well with 2-card hands by like blocking with 2 cards, playing a Mavrune Skies into any attack. Like, now, like, you have an odd hit that if they take the damage, next turn you get 4 rune chance and you're sad. If you block, the aggro player is sad. So it's really good at that. And then against these control decks, you just go 1,000,000 rune chance in a turn, attack you with Rosetta for 1/1/1/1/1/1/1/1/1/1 2 and 2, and it's just so effective at that. So I would not be surprised to see more Viserais for the main fact that they can play those 30 blues and still be a decently good aggro deck. They can beat Icelander. They can play through Channel Lake Fridges. They can do everything they need to do.
Right. And Icelander's a bit of an inconvenient matchup for Runeblades because of that Alluvian Castellus. I never know how to pronounce that chess piece.
Just call it PJs. That's what I do. Just
Okay.
PJs.
PJs? The Wizard PJs?
Wizard
All right.
PJs, yeah.
Yeah, the Wizard PJs really play well, into your Runeblades. Like, they play extremely well there.
It's so good.
So
good.
That's the breakdown of the top 8. I think there's some notable exclusions here that I want to get into in this podcast. Notably, not a single Briar across either top 8. Why are you fist bumping? Why are you fist bumping?
She's dead. Let's go.
You're literally cheering so loud, your audio is cutting out. Why do you hate Briar so much, man?
I just, when Briar was the best deck at Nationals, I knew it, but I played Dash because I think her playstyle is just boring to me. I don't like Runeblades that much, but outside of Chain, and she just had a very stale, in my opinion, game plan, and I've just never liked how she's played. So I've always been against Briar. Like, listen, I hated on Prism, now let me hate on Briar. Okay, let me hate on somebody else now. It's just what I do.
You're so cold. I love Briar. So I'm surprised to see Briar gone. We had so many comments last week about, hey, I don't understand why you're still so Briar's still one of the best decks. It's out there, and we were like, we think maybe it's just a little hangover. Well, it looks like the field has concurred that, we're not really feeling the Briar. Maybe shelf Briar. Briar sticks around for a little while longer. It was interesting. I thought that was a notable exclusion to both of these lists. Something that I miss seeing on these top 8s, and it's not a notable exclusion because no way I expected it to be there, was something like a Katsu and an OG Bravo. I thought we might see some OG Bravo, star of the show, Bravo showstopper, not star of the show. I get the two confused. But I miss seeing Katsu, man.
I have nightmares against Katsu because one of the local Chicago players, I made 4 top 4s in a row during the ProQuest season, and 3 of them were lost to a Katsu main, with the other one I won. So Katsu it hits hard here. It hits hard. I don't
which
like
one?
Katsu.
Which one was it? Shout them out because there's 2 of them. Was it Derek?
Yeah, it was Derek. Yeah,
it was Derek.
Yeah.
Dude, Derek's coaching on this channel was awesome. Derek's an awesome. Derek
is such a good player,
and he's such a good.
I won the first ProQuest, go to the next one, and then I got second. I lose to Derek. The next one I get like top 4. The next one I get top 4 again. I'm like, Derek, I need another tunic. Like, stop it. I need 2 tunics.
So yeah, I just miss seeing Katsu because again, that's another one of those decks like Dash that there's so many ways you can build it. The problem with Katsu is, you just can't play it against Oldhim. Like, you cannot play Katsu against a good, competent Oldhim player. It's such an uphill battle. It's insane. You will run out of cards before you bring him below 20. Like, it just feels like sometimes.
Yeah, if I can go wide enough, Katsu does not get those free Phoenix Flames. They don't get those free chip damage cards. It just does not work as well.
That's exactly it. And, Earth React is so good against things like Kadachi. And it's
almost bullying. Like, it's not okay.
That Earth against Kadachi, against things like Ancestral Empowerment, on these hit effects, it does feel like bullying. Like, and Katsu's got so many one-offs and one-shots. You can't do it forever, and you're never gonna Lord of Wind. Like, that's just not happening. People are like, oh, you can play the long game. You just Lord of Wind. You're not hitting a Lord of Wind combo. Like, that's
you're just getting pummeled if you take a turn off. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Especially without Plunder Run in the meta. You're not going to Lord of Wind. You're just, and through a Frostbite, like, these things aren't happening.
Do we unban Plunder Run yet? Like, I missed that card. I really do.
So I was all for unbanning Plunder Run, but with Fi in the meta right now, I don't know if anybody abuses that card better than Fi. Because Fi's like, hey, +3 on your first thing. Also, the next thing to hit this turn, those chip damage cards, the next thing to hit draws you a card. Like,
I wasn't even thinking about Fi, to be honest. I was just thinking of the good old Chain days where, like, you could take the turn off to Arsenal and just have a great time. Bring back old FaB, man. Bring back old FaB.
Dude, you could block. You could actually, like, block and then, like, Arsenal something. It was crazy. Maybe not here in America. We might not have done that here in America, but you could do it. It was an option. So that's the UK Nats breakdown, and that's kind of some notable exclusions. I guess I should ask you, do you have any heroes that you really expected to see that you didn't?
I expected a Kano, honestly, to have a better run.
You're
I'm in a
such a homer.
I'm in a Discord with a bunch of good Kano
Of
players, all
no, of
talking
course you
about
are.
it, all sharing
Sure.
a deck list, and I know a few of them had a really good deck list going into these events, and I really thought they were gonna take it down. But
And
listen, we'll start with Kano.
this just goes to show you, no, you're not. Like,
I'm just saying,
like,
Kano's gonna win U.S. Nationals if you like it or not. We have some of the best, if not the best, Kano players in the world going to this event.
are you talking about yourself?
I was actually talking about Matthew Vore.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, are you just referring to yourself as one of the best Kano players?
I can take it in Blitz and CC. I cannot take that. No,
That's because you and me only have so much attention span. Blitz is perfect for us because we can only pay attention for so long. After that, we're like, we're bored. Nah,
you have more than 20 life. I don't care. I got below 20. I won. I'm done.
Yeah, I win. I already win. Scoop. Go next. Okay, so now, that's kind of the breakdown of UK Nats, but there was kind of a big debacle leading up to UK Nats. And I'm going to warn you, if you only come to this podcast for positivity, if you only like us talking about the good things, skip ahead to the Mo Money, Mo Problems section. It will be in the future in a couple minutes. But there was some stuff with UK Nats that, frankly, I found completely unacceptable. And
it was a joke.
It made me so mad, and I think what really ticked me off is that it's something I've been advocating for a year now. It feels like, and I praise it every time it goes well, and every time it doesn't, it just makes me mad because it shouldn't happen. And do you want to break down for us what happened while I open this, because I'm gonna need it?
Oh, wow, we're drinking now. So basically, about a week ago, the game store that is hosting Nationals tweeted a picture, and it was a picture of text. It was about 3 paragraphs long, but basically, to sum it up, it said, "We are deeply saddened by the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. We thank her for her years of education, her service in the United Kingdom." Then it goes on saying, "We've been in discussion with Legendary Studios regarding the UK and Flesh and Blood National Championship that is scheduled to take place this weekend. 7 days in the future, Nationals is supposed to happen. We are canceling that and moving it 2 weeks in the future. If you bought tickets, if you have hotels, you're within the 4 days to get refunds. You don't get refunds. That's not a problem. Just come back in 2 weeks. I don't care if you took vacation. I don't care if you had the day off. I don't care if you have a family. Come back in 2 weeks. We don't care about you." So they did this, and everyone was upset, rightfully so. And then, like 2 days before the event, only people signed up for the event got an email that said, "LOL and JK smiley face. The event is back on. You canceled your hotels. You canceled your airfares. You told your family you're going to be home. You told your work you can work. LOL and JK, we're back on." 2 or 3 days before the event happened, no post by Flesh and Blood official Twitter account at this time when this was going on. Only by this game store on Twitter and emails. It was a joke. It was super upsetting. I even tweeted, "What is going on with UK Nationals?" And the only response I got was, "It's something," because nobody knew, because everybody was confused. It was so upsetting.
So it became a meme in our group chat. Let me just start with this, that I was asking you, "Hey, do you know what's going on with UK Nats?" And you would respond with an emoji, like once a day. It was just like, I have no, because we want to talk. We want to talk about it. We love Flesh and Blood. We literally sit down for a little over an hour every week and talk to each other and to you guys about FaB. So we want to know what is going on. We're fans, I think it's safe to say. But I want to start with the fact that this is not a commentary on whether or not the event should have been canceled. There's a lot going on with the whole concept of a monarchy and the involvement of the citizens in that political system that, frankly, we're not equipped to understand. And we are aware of that. So we are not commenting on whether the event should have been canceled, whether it should not have been canceled. We don't know. And we will openly admit, we've said on this podcast, we're dumb, gigantic, brutish Americans. We don't understand that. Where I take issue is 7 days out. So 7 days from the kickoff of the event. I think slightly less. I think it was closer to like
5.
I think it was closer to like 6 or 5. But let's even call it 7. There was a decision made to cancel this event, and the announcement of that decision did not come from LSS, which I believe it should have. That doesn't mean that Dark Sphere Games shouldn't put that out. That doesn't mean they shouldn't have to, have their own PR side of this or handle it. But LSS needs to be the one giving us this information. And I don't understand, if there were conversations about that decision, why it didn't happen. Why LSS was not the one to let us know. Communication on major things like this has lapsed and been so poor at times that I frankly don't understand it, and it infuriates me. You could just tweet out exactly what they tweeted. Now, there's an exception here, and I don't see this being the case. If Darksphere Games and LSS were having a talk, and then Darksphere was like, hey, we're canceling the event, put this tweet out, and LSS was like, wait, WTF. Like, we did not sign up for this at all.
And there's no way that Darksphere Games can make that decision. This has to be a joint effort between the two of them. And if you're going to make this effort, I think the only right thing to do is make the announcement like the day after this big event happened and give people 2 weeks notice, or you can't do it. We need time as people to get refunds, to do anything with your life.
So before we even get into that, it's not even a bad idea when you and Darksphere initiate conversations. We're past the point of Twitter being a constant meme, right? Like LSS constantly reaches out to us on Twitter with important and great information. And I advocated a little, probably 6 months ago, that they needed to step their Twitter game up. And they have. They've doubled their Twitter game. They've tripled their Twitter game. It's been great. But when that conversation is initiated with Darksphere Games, there is no reason that they can't say, hey, FYI to the community, we've entered conversations about the viability of having this event after such a national tragedy. Know that it's up in the air. We will have a decision for you on Monday, right? Yes. And set it so that the community can start to prepare. And yes, will that hurt player turnout? Probably, because someone maybe just goes and cancels their trip right then and there, right? Cancel their accommodations because they know they can get their refund. The problem is, if you don't do that and you cancel this event, you have put people out, money, time, effort, time spent with their loved ones. Like, this is so unacceptable. It's not even funny. And that's before we get to the fact that the next communication we hear about this is an email that went to registered players a couple days before the event kicked off saying, psych, we're back on. That is the straw that breaks the camel's back, in my mind.
Yeah, it was painful to just watch and see friends of mine that I only know through Twitter or at these events, like people I would call my friends, having this struggle of like, okay, I canceled my stuff. Now I need to rebook it at double the price. I didn't even get a refund when I canceled it. Or, you got half the money because you thought it was over and half is better than nothing. And now to say it's back on is painful. The one good thing I will say that FaB did, because I want to point out the goods, is on the 16th, they did apologize. They did put out an article. They did say, hey, we are sorry for what happened. For absolute clarity, it is taking place when we were supposed to. We understand that some players are significantly impacted by the announcements, includes players with significant financial costs, and we're sorry. And they said if you had a financial loss or unable to attend, we want to help you out. Please email us. And they gave an email address. So at least they took initiative and they admitted, which is good. I am proud of them for that.
So that's great. And I have since I think one of my hottest takes on this channel was the Duskblade article that was just titled "We Made a Mistake," or the header of that article was "We Made a Mistake." And I was one of the few people that stood on a soapbox and applauded LSS and FaB for that, because I understand. Listen, mistakes are going to happen, and when you stand up and say, "Hey, listen, this is a mistake. My bad. It needs to get better," I am all in. And the fact that FaB is helping out, that's great news. I'm all for that. The problem is, it's been so many lapses in communication at this point that it needs to stop being sorry we made a mistake And sorry, this is how we're improving our communication to our community. Because the less impacted, right? We've talked about the players. The less impacted are fans of Flesh and Blood. Maybe you have UK fans that are dying to tune into the event, and they don't find out that the event is on until LSS posts that article about the stream. The last they heard, the event was off. They're not registered players. They didn't get an email. It's completely unnecessary, and it's a very fixable lapse in communication. And I'm more irritated because last week we talked about, hey, why are you not just posting when an event kicks off? This is the field. This is the top 8. This is your winner. A tweet.
Yes.
For a post to your Facebook page. Whatever your voice of choice is, there's no reason you can't be doing that. This is a million times worse because it's cost your players time, effort, and money. And you have a
100%.
ravenous dedicated player base. Like, people still went to this. Imagine people love this game so much that even after this debacle, they still went to this event. You won't always have that. If you keep down this road, you will not maintain that player. You will tick off too many people. We need to get this fixed. I told you I was going to be a menace at this part of the podcast. It's just all it takes is typing up a message and hitting post. Like, I keep leaning into Twitter, but if you want to use whatever else, however you can get
an article.
Even if you just make an article, the community will leak it for you. Like, they'll get it out there for you. I think it's more important that for sudden announcements, you do it on some kind of social where people can subscribe to notifications, right? But even if it's just an article and then you tweet the article, totally valid. Like, this is fine. Get that out there.
They dropped the ball on this one. And I do think they realized they messed up, and they messed up bad. And I just wish that original announcement of saying, hey, it is canceled was on their official website, their official Twitter account, their official anything.
None of
because if I didn't have friends in the Flesh and Blood sphere on Twitter, I only found out because I saw someone else tweet it and be like, WTF, I just spent 1,000 euro pounds, whatever it is, on this event. It's not refundable. And like, I just feel bad because someone else was like, I'm flying in from Spain. Like, just come play Flesh and Blood because I love the game. And now I have a plane ticket to London, and I'm not even invited to the event, so no one told me besides this post. And it's just, it hurts to see fans that I consider my friends get hurt by this.
Like, listen, we both know extremely dedicated fans of Flesh and Blood, extremely high-level players. I'm talking players with chances to win the upcoming Nationals event that don't have Twitter. And if they weren't on a team or in a tight-knit community or on Twitter, they wouldn't have known about this. There's no way to find out about this. Like, it's just unacceptable. And the part that I keep coming back to is it's easily fixable. It is hard to solve problems. The Starvo problem that requires delicate bannings. When you take time on that, I am empathetic. I'm sympathetic. It takes time to fix. Print runs and stuff that takes time to fix, time to figure out. This is, you could snap your fingers and fix this problem and we would be done. So I need to see this being done. This is the last time we're going to do the lapse in communication. This is the last time LSS is going to make major decisions about an event that they promote their national circuit as being a top tier. Like, we're all about OP. We're all about competitive play. This is our national circuit. This is the last time they're going to interact with what they claim and what they tell us is the most important aspect of this game without proper communication. Like, I that's what I need to see. That's
I
what
agree.
I need to see.
If this happened, the U.S. Nationals, if I found out, let's just say today, right? Because the event's about 5 days away at this point.
Yeah.
If they posted today saying U.S. is canceled, and then let's just say 3 days from now they say it's back on, I'm not going. There's no way. Like, I'm canceling my hotel right now. I'm canceling my airfare. I'm calling my work and saying, hey, I requested the day off. Put me on the schedule. Like, you can't mess with people's lives this short notice. Because guess what? We love the game. We want to play at the highest level. Even the highest level caliber players have a life outside of your game. And
know your player base. No, your player base is people with lives and we're all at the point in our life where if we're not there already, we're trying to get there. You know, whether it's school, whether it's your job, whether it's, you know, a standard job, whether it's a career, whether it's a family. It could be a kid. For me, in the next 16, 15 days, it's going to be a kid.
Exactly.
Right?
We're making sacrifices for your company. Just treat us with some kind of respect. That's all I want.
Just communicate to us. And then in your scenario where they tweeted that, it comes from their page. I was left wondering, like, is this real?
I think I sent it to you, and you were like question marking me, like, what are you talking about?
I was like, is this a meme? Like, what do you mean? This isn't, and it wasn't from LSS, so how am I supposed to know? Like, it's just a game store saying
store that you only know about if you're from there.
And they just claim to be talking to LSS. For all we know, are they talking to? We don't know that, right? And this is not a shot at that game store.
I think the game store did a great job with what they were giving. I think they did amazing.
They did.
Round of applause. Their stream was really good. They hosted a great event from what I've seen online. No complaints. Like, props to them.
Min-Max does better, but sure, they're fine. No, you're right, and they don't deserve to be caught in any of this crossfire. They did what they could, and for the record, I said Min-Max does better because I handle the coverage at Min-Max. So
it's true, it is kind of bad coverage. Like, I must say,
like the Min-Max coverage is just top notch.
Poor.
Anyway,
yeah.
So
no commentators, like, oh, it's rough.
It is literally face cams too, which people don't do, and interviews after games and stuff like that. I don't understand why more people don't do that, but. Anyway, that's kind of my take. I had to get that off my chest. It needs to be fixed. I have a football game starting here soon, so let's kind of wrap this pod up. I want to talk really quickly about our new segment, Mo Money, More Problems, where we talk about something upcoming in Flesh and Blood and say if it's going to bring in Mo money or cause Mo problems. We are talking about the Emperor Marvel and the print run, one in, was it 10,000 packs of the Emperor Marvel?
Something. It's a mistake.
One in a, okay. You're hot already. So Mo, let's start with you. Let's start with you. Is this Mo money or Mo problems?
This is just Mo problems, not even for my wallet, just for the game in general. Like, if we're playing this game, saying 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000, whatever it is a mistake. We don't need these super collectible, oh my god, look at me, I opened this rare card. It is just preying on the people that have gambling issues, preying on the people that can't control their own money. And I don't think that's good for a company to do. Being like, hey, look, if you buy 10,000 of these, you get one shiny card. It's not good to prey on your audience like that. It is unhealthy. You're taking advantage of people. I think it's a mistake. And I'm honestly disgusted by it. I really am. I hate it. I just really don't like it. Like, I have nothing to say. Like, it's just disgusting. It feels like the CSGO days back when it was like I love CSGO cases. I love spinning the wheel to get a random skin. That is preying on people's gambling issues. And we're all 30-plus-year-old that have money. Like, guess what? A lot of us probably do have gambling issues if we're playing cards. We do not need that in our game. Like, it makes us look like a bad game. It makes us look like a chase game. It makes us look like a collect. Like, I can't stand it. It makes us look like Genshin Impact. We have to spend $10,000 to get one shiny character. Like, it is gross.
Dude, you pulled the Genshin Impact card out. Let's go.
I did. It is disgusting. Like, I am honestly upset about this, and this turns me off of the game in a bad way. Like,
bro,
if they go down this road, I really don't like it. Like, I'm serious.
So let me. Normally on the pod, often we play devil's advocate for each other to have a great conversation. I couldn't disagree with you more. I could not disagree with you more. And here's why. I have stated since the start of this channel that trading card games succeed based on a beautiful player and collector relationship. I think you need both in your game. You need playability and collectability to succeed in the long run. Now, is this the only way you can handle collectability? Absolutely not. There are multiple ways you can handle collectability, but looking at its surface, it's a severely chased card that is not required to play. I actually think it's not that good of a card. It's not required to play. And there's a extremely affordable version on the market. You'll be able to open a non-Marvel version of one of these in the pack, I believe. So with that being said, we have the opportunity to give people the chance to crack 10 boxes, 50 boxes, 100 boxes of Flesh and Blood chasing after something if they so choose. And they get to do that without saying, I have to go online and buy this card to play the game. Now, when we talk about the way they went about it, 1 in 10,000, I think someone did the math. Was it like 200 in existence or something? It was something shockingly low when someone broke down the math based on an assumed print run. It was shockingly low, the number in existence. This seems like a Hail Mary. What have we lost over the last year in our favorite game? We've lost people collecting the game, and we've lost people investing in the game, buying boxes for the long run, putting it on their shelves, opening it up 3 years from now, chasing certain cards, right? We've lost that in FaB. FaB, looking back, is not growing in value because our investors and our collectors, for the majority, I mean, there's still a couple whales involved, sure, but your average people have like backed out of that portion of FaB. This is the Hail Mary, in my opinion, that this is what we're trying to do to pull people back into that world, right? We want to say, hey, this is an option with our card game. This is an option with our community. And FaB's slogan, when it was dropped, was playing and investing in great card games. Now, FaB 2.0, they dropped the and investing, and they didn't say anything about it in the article. They just said their slogan and dropped the second half of it. And I messaged Rudy on Alpha Investments. I was like, hey, am I crazy or did they drop this? He's like, yep, they've dropped it. It seems like, hey, they're taking a shot at that. They know that the player collector spectrum, you have to appease both sides of this, in this relationship, is important, and they're trying to bring those people back in. I think this is a healthy way to do it.
I think it's an unhealthy way. I think it just preys on issues that people might have, and I don't like it. It disgusts me, honestly.
I don't know if it preys on issues that people, so I don't know if I agree with that. But let's talk about, let's put that aside and let's talk Marvels really quick. So I thought Marvels were a great way to add value to a product, right? And to make people want to collect something. Mm-hmm. Collecting all the Marvels out of Uprising. I thought that was amazing. But do you know what I noticed? It seems like there's only a certain amount of value. People are willing to evaluate FaB sets and put this value on them. And then they'll split up that value based on these cards. And it seems like all that happened is all the value went to the Marvels. And like, if you look at your Majestics, there's not really any Majestics in the set that are worth anything in Uprising, right? They're very low value. So I wonder if that's going to have a pull for the rest of the set. It's going to pull value away from a lot of the normal stuff, or it might just be too rare.
It's too rare. Like, I think Marvels was the street point where like you get 2 Marvels per case on average.
Yeah.
And that's good. Your average, card player can go to a draft, open one. They can open a box, open one. Like the average player is getting the serotonin, is it? Whatever, like the little brain happy juice is. Like as long as your brain is getting the happy juice, you're happy, right?
Yeah.
I don't think like there'll be 200 people that are like, oh my God, happy juice. And everyone else is just like, wow, I just spent $10K on 100 boxes and got nothing. Like that's just a feels bad.
But listen. If you make that call, if you spend $10K on boxes and don't open one, that's kind of on you. But also while you're opening the box, it's the same thing with Dominaria United right now, the Magic set. While you're opening these boxes, you have a chance to open a $4,000 Tabernacle. You won't. Let me be very clear to everyone. You won't open one. But that rush while you're opening the packs is there, that excitement, that joy. Even when you don't get one, you feel some type of way. So it's really interesting. I don't know. We split on this. I think it's Mo money. You think it's Mo problems. That makes us Mo money, Mo problems. But I have an American football game I have to go catch. So let's get to the closing crazy comment section where we get a chance to respond to you guys in the comment section about things that you said to us. If you want a chance to be featured on next week's show, make sure you leave a comment regarding today's topics, the episode, or anything you want to say to Mo or I, and have a chance at getting your comment called out. Mo, what do you got for me, dude?
I got a comment from Cadatano, I believe is his name.
Okay.
And it says, FaB to Brazil! We are ready! It makes me so happy to see people from other countries, other continents, excited to play our game, excited to join us on this journey of flesh and blood. And just there's so much excitement in that comment. and I feel like I can relate to him. You know, like a card game's coming to your hometown, and you're like, let's go, dude. Like I can finally enjoy it. So,
dude, that's no. We were very critical this episode about some of the communication stuff. The language packs, like seeing people psyched. There's like random YouTube channels popping up in my feed where it's like I'm opening my first Flesh and Blood box, and it's like in a foreign language that I have no idea what's being talked about. But I'm like, this is just cool. Like to see the game in other people's hands, they're knocking that out of the park. It's very cool.
That's one way I think you can add collectability to like Flesh and Blood. These other language sets, like in Magic, I always collected Russian cards. I thought it was sick. Foil Russian is amazing.
No,
so let's get some foil other language, insert those into the packs. You can open a foil Spanish card.
No, you're wrong. The language packs are there to grow the game in those communities, not for your American behind to collect.
Oh my God.
No. Oh God. You're so wrong. You're so wrong about collectability. It hurts sometimes. I gotta be honest with you. You're just you're so good at fab and so bad at economics. Oh, it hurts.
Bad economics?
Yes. I'm taking it. It's a broad topic. Just take it. Just deal with it.
Wow, that hurts. That hurts my soul. You know.
Good.
If you want to leave a comment before Josh reads his comment on next week's video, just say "Go Pack Go," and that's all I care about.
Oh, I know that that's not an insult. When your football team is crappy, you know they're gonna lose. My comment is more about the person than about the comment. There's been a longtime patron of Hometown TCG, friend of the channel, friend of me personally, that left a comment this week that I want to shout out. It is Jim Williams, who says, "Mo Money is beautiful. First of all, not only is he willing to support the channel, support me, support the community for almost a year and a half now, but he is willing to lie in the comment section to boost the algorithm. So shout out Jim Williams. You rock." Mo, this has been a blast. Sorry I got spicy this week, but thanks for hanging out, dude.
Yeah, thanks. It was always fun. I'm always here to chat about fab, besides next week.
Well, next week,
coming back.
There may be a special guest because U.S. Nationals is next week. We will break that down and tune in next week to see who's sitting in that chair. Maybe you finally get replaced.
In this chair.
Get out of here, dude.
In my house in this chair with a made bed. It's going to be sick. Just you guys can't even wait for it.
Fly you to Colorado and hang out. Anyway, thank you for hanging out. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Visit channel sponsor MinMaxGamesFab.com. Use promo code HTTCG to get 5% off your singles order of $50 or more. And True Classic Tees just sponsor us already. Dudes, what's going on? Until next time, you guys know me. My name is Josh.
I'm Mark.
We will see you around. Wow, Mark. Ooh, so professional. Goodbye, everyone.